Welcome, fellow last placers, to another episode of LPF Debrief, where Chris and I talk about comic books, movies, and TV shows. And on today's episode, we will be talking about Book of Boba, episode five,
Five,
six,
six, six,
six,
six.
episode 6, aka spoiler alert,
Right now. Give it a few
season
seconds.
3, episode 2 of The Mandalorian. So if you if you guys don't want any spoilers, we will be spoiling it from here on out. If you don't mind, stick around. But we will begin the episodes the same way we always do, by shaming Yendi into not watching the content that we watch. So
Shame.
shame. And before we get into the video, the same thing as always, guys. Please like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We, at the time of this recording, I think we're at 89, I want to say.
I think
so
we're still
we're
at
like
89, yeah.
11 away. So 11 away, and we can give away this Still Series mouse that we want to give you guys. Okay, so getting right into it, Chris, episode 6, season 1, aka season 3 of The Mandalorian. How'd you feel?
I had to get wine for this episode.
Oh, also, episode was directed by my favorite Star Wars mind and written by my favorite Star Wars mind, Dave Filoni.
So, of course, I like this episode, man. It's a great episode. But it is just showing me, like, they're telling me basically that, oh, we didn't really have a story for Boba Fett. So I would have rather had Mandalorian Season 3 come out and tell me it's going to be 20 episodes, and then we have a little section of what we're watching with Boba Fett. That's what you should have done. None of this like BS of like, oh, we just need to give him 9 episodes or 7 episodes. Just make it long. Just give us a whole bunch. That's fine. Nobody's gonna complain about it. But I like the episode overall. One of my favorite bounty hunters shows up, and I always say, Boba Fett is my favorite. But whenever Cad Bane shows up, he's definitely a close second, man. He's badass. I didn't like the way I gotta get used to the way he looks, because in the face it looked a little too puffy, like he like puffy nose or whatever. But it was dope. I thought it was really dope, and we saw Luke again, which felt a little weird.
Yeah, I had some things about that, but
yeah, but and also the lead up to Grogu's armor was a little lackluster too, because I was like, oh, it's a little chain mill. Okay, cool. That's fine. But I did, like I said, like the episode. It was cool to see Luke, Grogu, and Ahsoka. I did not think we were going to see them. I was kind of hoping we wouldn't until later on, but we did. They fully went on into it, and we got a 2-second update on Boba Fett. He just got his screen time of looking at Mando and nodding of like, oh, he's here, and that was it. So
I loved that there was someone on TikTok, I don't know who it was, but I can't give them credit, but they had a really funny TikTok that my boy Chase showed me, Seaport, shout out to him, that was saying like, oh, and a special guest, you won't believe who the special guest appearance was in the Book of Boba. And then they showed Boba Fett. Like, because it was like, because
yeah,
again, I, just to piggyback on everything you said, the episode was fantastic.
yes,
From a Star Wars perspective, which I then, after this episode, told a group chat that I'm in that Dave Filoni just needs literally a TV show called Star Wars where he just updates stuff like in the Star Wars universe. It doesn't need to particularly be about any characters. It doesn't need to be about anyone that like particularly. He just needs to be able to write a story about Star Wars. So maybe we'll like do an Ahsoka adventure, and then maybe we do a Cad Bane adventure. And he just needs to write. Everything needs to go through Dave Filoni because he is just spectacular. I've been saying this man's praise since Clone Wars, and all the ideas that he has are always great. You can tell by this episode how much he cares for the characters besides Boba Fett, but you can tell how much he cares about the characters that he wants to care about. Again, this was a great Star Wars episode. It was a terrible Book of Boba episode because I don't know. I
We're
something
not
had to
progress.
happen in
We're
production.
not progressing the story at all.
Like something had to have happened in production because I don't know. And again, we'll never know this. Like we would just never have the information for this. But I need to know what happened when they saw episode 4 of Book of Boba Fett. Because clearly that was the episode that they watched and went, something here needs to change. Because either we went from maybe we need Mandalorian at the beginning of this season when they were just like, you know what, maybe we need to just throw in this Mando episode. Because I fully believe if you wanted to make this work, you could have done it very simply. You could have, like Chris said, you could have made it 20 episodes, whatever. You didn't even need to do that. We could have honestly had the Boba Fett episode. We could have cut all of the crap out of Book of Boba, right? We could have cut it all out. So most of episode 1, besides him exiting the Sarlacc pit, and then we could have taken the exit from the Sarlacc pit, taken him being with the Tuskens, and that whole scene, like that whole episode 2. Then we could have just completely thrown away episode 3, and then had episode 4 where he does the redemption, and that could have been one episode of season 3 of The Mandalorian, and we would have been fine with just that, because I do think Boba Fett is an interesting character, but the choices that they made here are just bad choices. Like, and it again, it's hard to believe that the same minds who gave us the Mandalorian are, with the love that those guys have for Star Wars lore and stuff, would just give this as, this is your like homage or your you know, your thing for Boba Fett. I just can't. Something had to happen in studio. I don't know what it is.
I feel
I
like they
just
wanted
feel
to
like,
make a mini series, and then Disney was like, "No, it needs to be like you need to give these episodes."
honestly, I feel like this. I will say this. I don't think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau wanted to make a Book of Boba series. I don't think they wanted this at all. I think they wanted to do exactly what they were doing, because again, I can't watch the episode of episode 5, which is season 3, episode 1 of The Mandalorian, and that just be light years written better. It can't, like, I it's hard to tell me that Jon Favreau wrote episodes 1 and 3 of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just, you can't get me to the point to where I can believe that. And I get it, some people can have a bad day. I just, after coming off of the 2 seasons of The Mandalorian that he's did, those episodes 1 and 3 are not even shot the same. Episode 2, I do believe he did, but like, they're just not even shot the same. They don't even feel the same as The Mandalorian. Like, and the show is supposed to have the same vibe because it's from the same, essentially the same world. Like, especially because they're all like Mandos, and like they're all those that, like, you know what I mean? It's the same thing, essentially. You know what I mean? Because I'll tell you, in season 2 of Mandalorian, Boba Fett didn't look like that. He didn't look like he did in the first 4 episodes of this show. I can tell you that right now. And he wasn't fully healed, because clearly now he's fully healed. So I don't. What happened? What happened? So
yeah, I hope they give us a strong finale, and I don't want. Unfortunately, as a big fan, I don't want to see a season 2. Don't do it, please.
We're not. But besides that, like I said, which was my biggest gripe, the episode itself though was, like I said, it was a tribute to Star Wars. Like, and it felt like that because, and obviously Dave Filoni threw his characters in there because that's what he does. He loves his characters. You know, he's going to have his characters have a lot of tender care because that's just what he does. That's why, like, when I knew, honestly, once I watched the beginning of the episode and he started to go there, I instantly knew we were going to see Ahsoka, because I was just like, okay, well, we're not going back to Boba. This is a clearly a Mandalorian episode again. So he's going to go to the planet to try to give it to Grogu. And obviously that conversation of where, you know, you can't do this because he's going to miss you. He's going to want to go back with you, and all that stuff was going to happen. And Ahsoka obviously was going to be the person who to tell him that. So I knew once it felt like we fully committed to this being a Mandalorian episode, I was like, yeah, we're definitely going to see Ahsoka. And then the way that they introduced Cad, it wasn't like I wasn't shocked because again, it's one of those things that Dave Filoni just likes to do. He will bring his characters in.
I knew he was
Right.
gonna show up, not in this, but I knew at some point we were gonna see a live Cad Bane. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I did want him to be on the team, not against. But also,
he has to be.
it's gonna be great going against.
Yeah. No, he has to be.
But as soon as I
So-
saw the hat, like as soon as I saw the silhouette,
yeah.
as soon as I saw the hat, I was like,
Yeah, everyone knew.
Yeah.
Everyone knew who, and I do really enjoy that if you watch it with subtitles that they don't say his name.
yeah,
Because when the name is asked for, he doesn't say it, and then on top of that, like the subtitles didn't even go Cad Bane. He was just talking.
yeah, because there were
So,
some
like-
people that I know that watched the episode, and I was like, "Did you watch
no
the
idea who
cartoon
that-
series?" They're like, "No," and they're like, "Okay, well, it's to the cartoon series, and if you are a fan, this is a big deal."
Yeah.
So
And this is perfect because they also used Corey Barton, who was the voice of Cad for the thing. And again, I adore when they do this for the simple fact that and don't get me wrong, I love Rosario Dawson, and everyone knows that. But if you're going to use a character who's heavily makeup like that, and I think she does look like Ahsoka,
Yeah.
and is like the perfect. But you could use, if you're not going to use the heavy makeup or stuff like that, you could totally use the voice actors for that. Like that's the same way I feel about Thrawn. Like you can use the voice actor, but like because Thrawn doesn't necessarily like he's going to be in makeup, and voice actors are actors also. So
Yeah.
like I don't feel like you need to have a big name person, even though, like I said, I adore Rosario Dawson. I don't think it's a bad choice at all. I think she fits the frame, everything that Ahsoka essentially is like fit, and I can't wait for that show. So, which I know Dave Filoni's doing, so I know we won't have any like mumbo jumbo stuff. So I already know that show's gonna be done service.
real quick before I forget, how is Luke being done?
So
right
Luke
now.
is being done by he has body doubles the same way
Yeah.
that he did in the season end of season 2. And then what they're doing is then they're they're doing the de-aging
Mhm.
essentially. And then what they did is Mark Hamill's still doing the voice, but they generated the voice so that it could be sound younger.
Okay, because the way the lines are being delivered, it feels weird, but I get it. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's not gonna be this kind of stuff that they're doing is still new. So you got to take it with a grain. Cause I know there's gonna be fans out there. They're like, this isn't like, come on, man, it's not perfect. All this, it's not going to be. But like, it's gonna take some time. But whenever he was delivering the lines, I was like, something's up here. I wonder how they're working this.
Yeah.
So okay, that makes sense.
That is how they're doing it, and I think they'll usually come out with they come out with those behind the scenes stuff that are always worth checking out and stuff. So
Yeah, I'm waiting for that.
yeah.
It'll probably show up after, usually after the season finale. They're like, oh, here's all the stuff.
So yeah, that's how they're doing it. And I mean, I feel knowing how Star Wars fans are, they're not going to want to recast Luke. At the end, most people would want. I do think you can just get Sebastian Stan to do it. That's just me. But like you can totally, at this point, I feel like if we're going to see Luke already now is 2 times, more than we ever thought we were going to see him again.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what they're doing and I appreciate it, but I feel like we would have gotten a little more feeling if it was an actual like person, because a lot of the shots were a little weird, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, I thought they did a good job with it. I thought him running around with Grogu was great. I thought him literally like carrying
him was the best, man. Also,
amazing.
The classic look of like whenever he does have the toad and then he opens his eyes and he has like that. Because
because he's just like using the force, and then like Luke just brings it. But I thought all of that was cool, and obviously it was so cool to see that the opposite way now, right? Because obviously this is just a big homage to, Yoda and Luke.
Yeah,
So
and the fact that we saw the Academy, which
mhm.
those robots were pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was something new. But the fact that the Academy is being built, and we know the history later on that it will be destroyed. Do you think we see Ben, young Ben, at some point? Like not anytime soon, but like
I would assume we could. I mean, again, that's what I mean, though. Like, how much are we going to go into this Luke story, which is what I'm very interested to see, because I want to know. We are going to, if obviously the Jedi Academy is going to be, uh, we don't know anything about the Jedi Academy because if we're not following any of the books or any of the canon comics, or like, because none of the comics or and stuff like that are canon. So if we're not following any of that, I'm interested to see where we go. Is Grogu the first student? Is he not? I don't think so, because I feel like they're gonna. I feel like we're at that point right now where it's gonna be weird to not have Grogu in the Mandalorian.
yeah,
So I feel like he's going to show back up, like, and it would make sense because again, like that's one of the issues when you do a show like this, because you want it to fit within a certain timeline of the time frame that we're in, but also it has to make sense that the character is not in anything past that. So like Grogu not being in like Force Awakens, or like you have to explain why, in a sense, like what was he doing, what was occupying their time for him to not show up to go, like, fight Snoke when there was a bunch of people.
hmm
Like, I mean, what's the reasoning? So I am interested to see what they do with that. I have no guesses on what they're gonna do, because, and I'm happy with that. I don't want to know if he goes back. I think he's gonna go back, but we'll see what happens with that. I'm very interested to see where they go, and I want to see how much more Luke we're gonna get within this, like, again, in this time frame, because I love it. I do like seeing Luke. I think we did get cheated out of like Luke stories, especially if you didn't read any of the books and stuff like that. For him, life after Empire, not
hmm
Empire, life after Return of the Jedi. So I am interested to see what they do. I so maybe we'll see him. And again, we got shows that are just going to be all over the place at this point, because like Ahsoka's show is going to happen, right? And Ahsoka's show is going to clearly happen after this,
yeah,
because she's still looking for Ezra. So, and how long has it been from Rebels to now? Like, we know that this is this is, I think they said this is like 19 years after Solo, right? So that means we're somewhere, right? We're literally after Return of the Jedi. So, like, we're after Return of the Jedi. How much time has gone by after Return of the Jedi? We don't know. And how much time are we before Force Awakens? So you have that little, like, literally, we're in that window, and
yeah.
we don't know exactly how much time has gone by. So we will see what happens for the next episode, because I'm really interested to see how much more of this story, and it's the season finale, so we're obviously going to get set up some places, but I want to know what happens to Boba's character. And I want something to be progressed besides him shaking his head saying, yes, we're going to do the plan that Finnick is that comes up with, like.
Dude, it was so. As soon as I saw him, I was like, and he just acknowledges him, and then it switches scenes. I was like, "What are we doing, man? What are you doing?" But okay,
Yeah, and
that's
then it's just very, again, I feel like it's
like I
not.
said. I just feel like they didn't have. Cool, we got his backstory, where how he got to the Mandalorian. That's awesome, but I feel like this is where his story ends. I mean, I assume he's gonna show up more in. Maybe he'll show up more in Mandalorian, but as Daimo or whatever, he's just gonna stay there. You know what I mean? So maybe he'll have some special guest moments of like Mando going to him for something every once in a while. But I think that's gonna be it. Like I think this is gonna be his retirement story of like He becomes the crime lord and he rules this section, and everybody left him alone. Good congratulations, the end. So that's where I feel like it's gonna go.
Yeah, and then it's like I said, it's very interesting the choices that were made. I did think it was cool that Grogu was part of Order 66 and would make sense
Yeah,
why
seeing
he doesn't
yeah.
want to be part of the Force and why I thought it was cool like that Luke essentially unlocked his like memories and stuff. So also I love that he spoke the way Yoda spoke and said, "Do you remember speaking like this? Because that's how you repeat. Like that's how
Yeah,
they
it's
speak."
like they
You know
spoke
what I
in
mean?
riddles.
Yeah,
I did also like the line that Ahsoka gives him of "You're just like your
just
father."
like
I
your
was like,
father. Yeah,
"Oh man."
yeah. And so they again perfect. It was a great, fantastic Star Wars episode.
Yeah,
Like it just I can't speak on it enough to where like I don't want people to think that like I'm bashing the episode because I think it. If you know me, I'm a huge Dave Filoni fan, and I just really believe that he can do no wrong when it comes to the Star Wars universe. I just truly believe that. But I just don't know why we had to do this episode in a Book of Boba episode. I feel like we should have
I feel like it
either.
should have been episode 1. Like if we got the last one, I mean, the
Mhm.
last one was should have been episode 1, right? But if we saw that, I mean, we literally said last episode. I think it's just gonna be like I think we'll see him in episode 7, and helping out with the war, and then the actual episode 1 whenever it releases. This is what we were predicting. Like he's gonna go find Grogu, but we got it now.
Mhm.
So
No, that's what I'm saying. I really, 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 and to quote Hamilton, want to be in the room when it happens because I want to know where this like what the creative process was behind this. Like, is it because again, it's I have a real hard time believing that Dave Filoni, John Favreau came into the room, right, and was like, okay, we're gonna do a Boba Fett story. Episode 5 of this story, though, we're going to go to Mandalorian. Like it, those like it could be that I have just too much respect for them. I don't know, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I just can't see them doing that because again, they gave us John Favreau gave us 2 seasons of The Mandalorian where we were just everyone was hooked. He made us enjoy a new character. We got, you know, a bunch of stuff that like, we got cameos, we got all that stuff, right? I just can't see the same guy going in saying we're going to have this terrible high-speed chase like and I'm going to be okay with that. Like and then towards the middle of the episode, like the season, we're going to completely nix the character where he doesn't even have a line in 2 episodes of a show that's named after him, and then be like, we're just going to cut to the Mandalorian. I don't know. I just don't feel like that's I just don't feel like this is what we're supposed to be getting.
yeah,
I genuinely do not feel that because when you break it down, it just clearly does not make sense. It just doesn't. Just doesn't make sense. So, but again, they is it doing its job in getting me to watch the next episode? Absolutely.
yeah.
Because now I need to know. I need to know if Grogu's going to choose. Now you have to go like you have to just go all out to Mandalorian stuff now. Like now it's already too late because now that we've gotten the 2 episodes of it, I don't want to see Boba anymore. Like I really don't want to see Boba. I want to know what Grogu's decision is, and I want to see how this is gonna like how does this affect Mandalorian and Grogu? Because I am back on wanting that show and not wanting to, I don't really care like about what happens next. Unless I just want to know if Grogu is going to choose the lightsaber and the armor, or what is he going to do to like what is Luke going to do if he chooses the armor? I want to know that information. The whole stuff on Tatooine, unless it involves Cad Bane, I don't care. I just don't care. I want to see a fight. The fight has to be between Mando and Cad Bane. I don't even want to see Boba fight Cad Bane
Cad
because I
Bane's
feel
gonna be
like he's gonna
badass.
get whooped anyway. Also, And let's talk about that Cad Bane scene before we
I
go.
was about to
Because
say about that kid getting blasted away.
how? How did he? First of all, you there is no way they both should have died because the speed just wasn't it. What it? Listen, it didn't.
I don't think they both died.
No, but listen, the speed. Okay, it just no. Without getting a shot off on Cad, and I understand that he's a badass, like we all know. But how did he shoot both of them without one person getting a shot off?
I don't
Like
know. And
it just didn't look right.
Because I think I want to say, what's his name? The deputy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
As soon as he looks at the other guy, his partner, I guess you could say, I'm gonna say the rookie, right? Well, as soon as he looks at him, that's when Cad takes the first shot.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the speed is, because he wasn't gonna get that. He was not gonna get that shot off because he saw that, okay, he's distracted. So I'm in my opinion, he wounded him, right? I don't think he's dead. He wounded him, and that's why he went to the other guy and put 4 in his chest.
But my thing
and the
is
other
he
guy got
should have
1.
gotten that gun off when he took the shot on the. Like, that's my thing. If we're both gonna draw our guns, okay, the people in the middle are gonna obviously one person's gonna be faster than the other, right? You can't tell me that you didn't pull out your gun either. I understand why he shot the sheriff first. Like, it makes sense because obviously he's going to be the more skilled gun person. But first of all, basically what I'm saying is, if I'm out there, don't let me die in vain. You know what I mean?
I don't know. They had
Somebody's got to get a shot.
They had a lot of gunslinging in there, because whenever you first see the deputy come out and he sees
the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, because that was dope. Whenever he's sitting there and he's like, think about it. He's like, think it through, and I was like, oh man.
Yeah, he's like, think it. Yeah, he definitely was a G.
Oh my god! So. And we also forgot the whole. They blew up a bar. They killed everybody in the bar.
The Pikes were tripping.
Yeah,
the Pikes. The Pikes came in and blew up the whole casino.
Yeah, whenever they're like, oh yeah, let's clean your helmets, and then they get up and walk out, and they're like, what do they want? They didn't say anything, and then the whole thing went off, and I was like, oh my god.
But also, you got to do a little bit better. You're in Tatooine. You already know. I know you might have been at peace for a little bit, but you got to know better. If someone just leaves a random thing on there, it's time to get out. Like, I don't know. That's how I feel. Maybe that's just me and my instincts. But if it was me personally, if I would have seen it, I was out. I mean, I probably wouldn't have made it out, but I would have been close to the door, like, at least. So, but yeah, it was, again, overall, I have no complaints besides the fact that this was not a good Book of
that
Boba
is an episode I just want to watch again. Like, a lot of people have been watching it, but
absolutely.
But yeah,
but it was a fantastic Star Wars episode. I do want to see where this story is going to end off, and we will find that out next week. Chris, before we go, what was your favorite part of the episode? Because there is a lot that could possibly be your favorite.
Cad Bane, man, that whole moment, him, the silhouette, and then you see him like looking, and you already knew. The fans knew. As soon as they saw the hat and him looking down like this, I'm like, this is fucking Cad. This is fantastic. Because I was watching it in the break room. I was watching it on my iPad. And people are like, oh, I haven't seen the new episode yet. And they're like, what do you think of it? And it was at that moment where I'm like, and everybody in the break room is literally like turned around looking at me. They're like, what? And I was like, I can't, like, it's good. Just watch it. Just watch it. So,
and I'm glad we got that moment, because I feel like I feel like this happens a lot, and a lot of times the movies got catered to so much, right? Like, and I will say it again, I've said it once, Clone Wars and Rebels, those two are literally, to me, are like, it's up there in like the best Star Wars stories. Like, I don't once you get past season 1 and 2 of Clone Wars, which can be a little bit rough, because it
Also,
was
I
out of
will say,
order.
because I recently rewatched it, I'll say I think it's like season 4. There's a season where it's very political. It goes into the political side of Star Wars, and
Mhm.
that one's kind of
I
slow
like that
because it's
season,
not fighting. It's more, it's just,
but I
like I
like
said.
that season because it builds that world.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
season 1 and 2, the issues with season 1 and 2 is more so that they just weren't in order, and we really didn't know where the heck we were going.
Yeah.
And then season 3 fixes that. And then once that mid season 3 happens, from there on, you're watching, to me, some of the best Star Wars, period. Like you can't, it just, like Anakin's character is well fleshed out. Obi-Wan's character is like, and they're not even the main characters,
Nope.
which is what makes it so crazy, because when you really look back on how much time they actually had in some of those episodes, you would be shocked on how much of the clones, like obviously it's Clone Wars, but you get so much of that story from the clones and all of that stuff, that even with all that time that they got, how he was able to flesh out their stories and make that relationship so pure. Yeah, it's just fantastic. So with that
I
being said,
Yeah, real
go
quick.
ahead.
I personally can't wait to see whenever Ahsoka comes out and we see Rex and it's the guy who's playing Boba Fett right now. Everybody being like, "That's Boba Fett. That makes no sense. What's going on?"
Right.
I can't wait. Can't
Yeah.
wait because I know it's gonna happen. But anyway, what's your favorite?
Yeah.
What's
So
your
we'll see. My favorite, I mean, again,
Oh, and
who
probably
what
the
was
hopscotch thing. Like him.
yeah, the hop, that was fun. I mean, I think my favorite was, I'd say Cad is definitely up there, and I just like the homage we got for Yoda and Luke, from what is now Luke and Grogu. Just them having that whole conversation and him basically being the teacher now. And I think Luke being the teacher is really cool, because we can see that, even as weird and like wonky as it felt, you could feel that that was something he wanted to do, right? And that's why, obviously it helps build that narrative for 8, essentially, where it's just like, well, you took everything away from me and now like I'm this old grumpy man. But that's besides the point. We can get into that a whole other day. But you could tell that that was something that he wanted to do, and being able to teach the Ford, like that was his first student, even if it's not like his first official student. That is, Grogu is his first
Yep.
student. So him being able to, you could tell that that was like the joy of being able to finally try to teach, and then getting that little bit of frustration. You know what I mean? His that he used to give. You know what I mean? So it was really nice for that to go full circle. And again, honestly, my favorite part of the episode was Dave Filoni. As soon as I knew Dave Filoni was writing it up, you got me sold. So I will watch anything Dave Filoni puts out. Doesn't matter if it's written by Dave Filoni, directed by Dave Filoni. I am there. So I'd say that was my favorite. And I can't, again, Ahsoka showing up, always great. I will always love when Ahsoka shows up to any content of Star Wars, because Ahsoka is Ahsoka. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that is going to do it for today's episode, guys. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Remember, we are doing that mouse giveaway once we hit 100 subs, and I think we're not 19 away. Well, no, 11.
11.
11 away. We're 11 away. So
Why am
tell
I
a
agreeing
friend.
with you all the
I
time?
know. I
I'm
don't
just
know.
nodding my
Just
head.
yeah, you're just like, yeah. We're 19. But no, yeah. Just tell a friend, do all that good stuff so we can give that mouse away. And believe it or not, we're coming up to our 1 year. So crazy.
Yeah.
But if you guys are watching this today, we will be on tomorrow. Well, today. Because if we're putting it out today, we'll be on today.
It's
So
like last week. Yeah,
Inception.
basically. Yeah.
So yeah. So check us out on that for the main show, but normally is on Tuesdays. But guys, thanks again for joining us. Fire team out.